think he meant we will institute a death penalty, but Donald Trump's remarks over the weekend drew a lot of curious looks, some comparisons to Joe Biden. Seemed confused. He compared and confused Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi. 77 years old. Trump often touts his mental acuity about, the tests he takes and everything else. But there are signs of decline that I think we can all agree are becoming a little bit more prevalent. Our friend Colby Hall wrote in Mediaite, Trump's gaffes and slurring this weekend should be leading every newscast. Why aren't they? Steve Krakauer is here, NewsNation media contributor. I've got my own theory about why the media that normally loves to hate on Trump didn't cover anything about this weekend, but I want to hear your answer first.
Yeah, I say a couple of things. First of all, I think it got some coverage. I saw a lot of articles about it. Obviously, Mediaite and my old boss there, Colby Hall, wrote about it. Look, I think that if you look at, it's a matter of perspective here, right? Donald Trump talks a lot. He's constantly out there, and I think if we do a ratio of how much Donald Trump talks versus how many of these gaffes or senior moments and that, admittedly, were pretty bad, versus, say, Joe Biden, I don't think it's anywhere close. I mean, the ratio is completely off. Yeah. Joe Biden barely gets out there, and when he does, it's every second. It's like you're just holding your breath, hoping that he doesn't have this horrible gaffe. So I do think that there's an element of that. But look, I think it got some coverage, and I think that the media is going to find a way to talk about Donald Trump in a negative light, in any way it possibly can. I'm not sure it was really trying to shy away from it too much in this instance.
My theory is that they don't want to draw attention. And I get this. You don't want to draw attention to the issue of mental acuity, call it what you will, or senior moments, whatever it is. Because once you start making that an issue in the campaign for Donald Trump, it invariably and by necessity will become a discussed about issue for Joe Biden, which the White House absolutely positively cannot have.
Yeah, well, that is true. I mean, I think it's funny. You watch the campaign Twitter accounts or X accounts on both the Biden side and on the Trump side, and they're just highlighting the other candidates' mental gaffes or maybe cognitive issues there. It is going to be an issue. I mean, as you mentioned there, these are very old people. These are senior people. Joe Biden's very old. Donald Trump's very old too. They are actually both older than George W. Bush and Bill Clinton are. I mean, it's actually amazing.
Well, yeah, that's right. They're older than Bush and Clinton are now, which is sort of stunning. And you think about how long. To help me understand here, because typically there's a large portion of the media that really will carry water for Joe Biden and for Democrats, and certainly against Donald Trump. But in this case, especially when it comes to Nikki Haley, I'm kind of fascinated by the adoring coverage of Nikki Haley and the thought that she has a chance, which we can agree or disagree about whether she does, but sort of this fawning coverage of her, see her on stage right now, where it's so clear for both Trump and Biden it's better if she was gone. Why is that?
Yeah, I think that there is a couple biases at play here. One of them is a bias towards having something exciting to talk about. This has been somewhat of a dud election cycle. Normally you get something, maybe the Democratic side like 2020 or 2016, you got exciting Democratic and Republican side. This one, we know where this is headed. It's Biden versus Trump rematch. No one's particularly excited about that. Nikki Haley at least gets us a little bit excited. Oh, maybe there's a chance here. I don't know if anyone really thinks that there is. I think though what's most interesting, and look, I was at CNN, I've been in other places in the corporate media. I think Donald Trump is a unique, singular figure. Nikki Haley is a Republican. She's a conservative. She would get some negative coverage from more objective places as a typical Republican. Donald Trump is unique, and I think the rules of journalism are thrown out the window when it comes to him. And so I don't think that there is this sort of hypocrisy or this, there's no intellectual consistency when it comes to covering one side or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We got to run. I've been a longtime fan of your work. Glad to have you on. You'll be back on the program soon. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.